We always assume that multifamily is better than single family. Why? Because it's bigger. Is bigger always better? Let's look at the pros and cons to see what is a better investment for you. All right, so let's touch on multifamily. With multifamily, you can buy 10 units, okay? And let's say you get a 10 unit apartment. So now you have 10 units and all of your units are there to manage. They're not spread out across town or across the state, etc. Okay, now, can that be a pro? Absolutely, it can. Okay, so, but let's look at, is it easy to get in multifamily, right? There are going to be videos across saying that, hey, you can buy multifamily with no money. And in short, yeah, you can buy with no money out of pocket, but you do have to have resources, meaning that you must know people that have money. And a lot of times when you're just getting started, you don't have that network and you don't have a proven track record to even try that route. So I wouldn't even try that route in my personal opinion. All right. You definitely want to be careful with that, right? Thinking that you can buy multifamily with no money out of pocket. Yes, it can happen, but I would recommend you educating yourself and getting the right financial partners in reference to buying multifamily. Okay, now let's talk about single families, right? So a single family home is a lot easier to get in for most people. Most people can come up with $5,000, $10,000, or even $15,000 down payments, or no down payments. A few $100 down payment is easier to get in. Now, are you gonna net as much as the multifamily as far as cash flow? Probably not. But if you can make a good $500 in cash flow, off a property and gain the appreciation, that's a good day, bro. This is what one of my mentors told me. He said, I don't want to be a multifamily guy. And I said, why not? Because I assume that bigger is better, right? He said, because when I'm done with these single family rentals, and of course he had over 50 at the time. He said, when I'm done with these single family rentals, he said, let's say the tenant moves out and I say, hey man, I just want to sell it. I can fix up the property and sell it to a retail buyer who's going to pay me full price. He was like, bro, with a multifamily, you got to sell to another investor. And what do all investors want? We all want a discount, okay? We all want a return of whatever we pay for it. So he was saying that he's stuck with that. And he was able to exit real estate with a 8-figure net worth, and he lives outside the country now. That's one of the pros. What are the cons? All right, your cash flow is only $500, right? Whereas your cash flow on that 10 unit, when I say cash flow, I'm talking about your gross net rent after the debts are paid. Let's say on that 10 unit, let's say each unit gets $800, $8,000. Your cash flow on that may be, $4,000 gross. You know what I mean? 500 to 4,000 seems easy on paper, but it's going to be harder to get into that multifamily deal. A lot harder, because not only do you have to have money to get in the deal, your funds you have to show that you have available to fix up the property, okay? To even get a lender on board. Now, let me deep dive into financing. Let's go to a single family house. Let's say you can get it for $100,000, right? You find a property that you're buying it for $100,000 is worth $235 fixed up, right? And the lender's like, okay, well, we want 10% down. 10% down on $100,000 is $10,000. Now, let's say you find a 10 unit, right? $100K a door, a 10 unit, and they want $1 million, right? They're asking $1 million, but fixed up, let's say that one is worth 1.8, but it needs about $150,000 in work, right? But it's worth 1.8. But the lender's like, all right, just give me 10% down. Listen, it's a lot easier to come up with 10 than it is 100, Now, so some people are gonna say, well, if you're gonna think big. I agree with it. But coming up with $100,000 when you don't have that kind of net worth and you don't know those kind of people, or those type of people are not related to you, and you have no proof of concept, is extremely hard. I'm telling you guys. So it's a lot better to go the single family route to get started. You can grow into this. Absolutely you can, but in my personal opinion. Now, some people are born around people with money, or they live on that side of town where people have money, and they got into multifamily, right? And they were able to thrive with it. Why? Because they had that network. All right. If you know you're born on the other side of the tracks, all right, where it go down at, chances are you might not have access to raising 100,000. You just don't. So, and now you got to approach total strangers with no track record. It's a lot harder. You know, it's easier to get into, start with the single family residential investments first and then build your way up to that type of money. Also, I made a video recently, why rentals aren't for everyone. Be sure to check that out in the description as well, because you need to know what you're approaching. Because for each door, you need a $5,000 reserve for each door. Why do you need a reserve? Because it's not if something goes wrong, it's when. Not if, it's when. So if you own a single family property, I recommend you have $5,000 in your savings account for that property if something goes wrong. If you got a 10 unit, you need $50,000 in reserve. Now, you know, a lot of people are not good at saving money. All right. If they have $50,000, that means they're going to spend it. And if something goes wrong and you can't fix it, that's not a good thing, especially if they report it to the city and now they don't have to pay you. And it goes downhill from there. All right. Now, if you're still not sure which is better for you, check out this video on wholesaling and see if this is for you, man. This can really set off your career. And then once you get money, you can make a better decision on which is better for you. I'm Nasser, aka the real estate guru. I'm not a guru, I'm a doer because I actually do this business. Peace.